Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never practice nunchucks in a crowded room. Never eat chole before a road trip. Always take your shirt off before you iron it. Don't take a call near a swimming pool. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
How do we make the case that while grave dangers are threatening to return, the old demons buried for a generation are stirring? It's time to call your troops back to the barracks. Not send them to the battlefield, but call them back to the barracks. We are talking about Punjab and the Sikhs. But hello, you might ask, where is the war? Punjab is quiet and probably more peaceful and lawful than any state in North India, definitely more than any state in the Hindi heartland. The Sikhs just voted in large numbers in state and Lok Sabha elections, dissing the almighty BJP. Their choice, Aam Aadmi Party, is even more of an outsider than the BJP or the Congress. Where is the problem? The challenge? What grave dangers are we talking about? What is stirring? And where is the war? One challenge of being in power, or more importantly, being in a position of total power, is that it makes people believe that they must do something with it. Inside every power system, there is a latent Don Quixote itch. You need that monstrous, malevolent windmill to tilt at, Sancho Panza by your side. So far so good, except it isn't Miguel de Cervantes' world from 1605 AD. And it gets more complicated now when the windmill is located in British Columbia, Canada. It is the troops fighting those demons there that need to be recalled to the barracks. Because the land, the people, the politics that needs attention is here. A 5.5-hour Vande Bharat train ride or just an hour's flight from New Delhi to Amritsar. There is no war, battle or even skirmish there. There is an unhappy, sullen and even increasingly frustrated population wanting to leave India through immigration, which will be nearly impossible now. The statements the separatists make, the abominable tableaus and displays at their parades, the slogans, the posters and selfies with assault rifles are not India's problem. By the way, I'm intrigued as to what Hardeep Singh Nijjar was conveying by posing in a saffron Banana Republic t-shirt. All of these involve, at the outer limit, a few thousand people, if at all. If they are a nuisance, it should bother their host countries because they are armed and have their own underworld with deadly gang rivalries. Significantly, none of this happens in the US. They are much more careful with their immigration and visas, and their law enforcement is much tougher. This only happens in snowflakey Canada. Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who sticks the nastiest finger in India's eye from the US, is careful with his words. He puts his training as an attorney to good use. His hoardings will say, destroy or crush India. Take a close look at the fine print at the bottom, and it will be footnoted with something like, with ballots, not bullets. In fact, the nastiest thing is, which was seen as him saying nobody should travel by Air India after November 19, Mrs. Gandhi's birth anniversary last year, and also the day the ICC Cricket World Cup was beginning in India. He was careful to say, however, no Sikh should travel by Air India because it will be dangerous. Now, he could say, implying thereby that Sikh's life is in danger in India. He is very clever, too clever by half, because he does not want to run afoul of the law in the US. That's the difference between the US and Canada. It's certainly much worse in Canada, sort of in the middle in Britain, it waxes and wanes, and whatever happens in Australia, New Zealand, etc., and in some other countries, relatively marginal. They can be infuriating, irritating, infuriating, but do they matter? Or do they matter so much that we take the fight to them at the risk of strategic ties of existential significance, given the neighbors we have, or more specifically, the neighbor we have to the north, namely China? A wise, big power must have the ability to weigh its friendships, threats, and the timing of its actions. It is also human that we tend to respond first to whatever irritates us the most at any point of time. Yet, the experience of nations, societies, even our own personal and professional lives tells us that if we merely take a deep breath, let that moment of anger pass, we'd always wonder the next morning, is this what I was going to war over? Or is this over which I was breaking a relationship, quitting my job, firing an employee? Powerful people, organizations, and definitely nations do not let anger determine their actions. None of these noisy separatists believe in some equivalent of a biblical inevitability of a sovereign Sikh state. And most can't win a panchayat election or collect 100 armed people behind them in Punjab. In fact, forget armed people. Most will struggle to get a couple of thousand unarmed people behind them in Punjab. One way of looking at them is as people who were once fellow Indians, who now are mostly Canadians and are helping the Pakistanis and their ISI spend whatever remains of their money. They are making a living from it. If the Pakistanis think they are getting value for their money just because they can get India trolled, good luck to the Pakistani. India and its formidable intelligence assets can pay the compliment back to the Pakistanis in Pakistan, which they had been doing until the kerfuffle in the Anglosphere brought about a hiatus. India, the US, and even Canada will see their respective spats play out in the course of time, if in different ways. Both will follow different trajectories. Ties between sovereign nations, especially ones that share so much, do not remain broken for too long. The US and India have already moved forward, compartmentalizing the Panu issue. What will not change, however, is the fact that large and influential sections of the Sikh diaspora will continue to live in both countries. In Canada, they are electorally significant in a number of constituencies or what is called as ridings there. In both the US and Canada, they will continue to be funded and fueled by the ISI. We are less than a fortnight away from the 40th anniversary of Indira Gandhi's assassination and the massacres of Sikhs that followed. It also follows that this is the 40th year of Operation Blue Star. It took a much bloodier decade post Bhindranwale than his 3 active years of insurgency for normalcy to return to Punjab. There have since been 3 decades of total peace in Punjab, barring the odd incident here and there, some sacrilege, some targeted killing, but at a very sporadic level. There are, however, stirrings of anger and frustration. It comes primarily from the state's economic decline. There is also a rising belief that the Sikhs have lost their traditional ability to punch above their weight in population terms in the national power structure. It might look odd that I say so weeks after another Sikh has taken over as an armed forces chief, IAF in this case, but the power at the center now resides fully with the BJP, the party the Sikhs like the least. Check out the vote shares from the last general elections and several elections before that as well. The BJP lacks a Sikh leader from Punjab, and the Shiromani Akali Dal ceased to be an NDA coalition partner in 2020. Whatever the BJP's political logic, severing ties with the Akali Dal did not serve the national interest. As Atal Bihari Vajpayee often explained, the challenge in Punjab was a Sikh-Hindu schism. The best answer was an alliance of the primary Sikh and Hindu parties, the Akali Dal and his BJP. With that broken, everything is up in the air. The Akalis are unpopular and that's getting worse. They are getting more unpopular, and in the space they are vacating, the religious space, the radicals are moving in. It's also called the Panthik space in Punjab, Panthik from Khalsa Panth. This vacuum in Panthik politics is a danger. And please save your virtue signaling on secular politics, etc. First of all, you say this in Punjab, they will tell you immediately that if the BJP seeks a Hindu nation, how can you question some wanting a Sikh nation? That is said, by the way, only rhetorically. Amritpal Singh has been subsumed, for example, by democratic politics, and his incarceration has caused no upheaval. The tougher question is, who controls the Sikh faith and its biggest temples, their resources and institutions? We'll talk about this in greater detail at some point, but today this week let me just say that is done by an elected body, the Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee or SGPC, for which only observant Sikhs can vote. That election was last held in 2011. And one reason it is delayed, a fresh election is delayed, is the halving of the number of eligible Sikh voters in the ongoing enrollment. We spoke about these complexities in an episode of Karta Clutter, of which I will share a link with you. The observant Sikh numbers are declining for a number of reasons, as we detailed in several national interest pieces. There is the fear of Christian conversion, there is the popularity of the Deras. The observant Sikh numbers are declining for a number of reasons, as we detailed in a bunch of national interest pieces, of which I will share links with you with the description. However, the big issues are the rising popularity of the Deras, Christian conversions, and also many Sikhs not fully conforming to all the requirements of the Sikh religious doctrine. All of this adds up to insecurity and worry. Add to this suspicion of the BJP at the center. There is no rebellion, bar the slogans and posters of the kind you will see on these coming 40th anniversaries. So be prepared for that. Will you lock them all up under UAPA or NSA? If not, why go to war with a few hundreds doing the same thing 2 oceans away? That's why we need to call those troops back to the barracks.